Hello everyone and welcome back to another DC Universe miniature game battle report, the game from Knight Models that we cover every once in a blue moon on the channel today. And today it is a little bit of a special one because we're playing a custom scenario not from the hardback rulebook that you can see on the table there, finding a use for the new range that Knight Models is doing, which is the Deceased range, which is just zombified heroes from the DC Universe. They're just, well, skins they call them, which is more of a video game term, but which means you can just use them as stand-ins for standard miniatures. But I thought it'd be quite fun to think up a little scenario using one of them. So we're going to try that today on top of just a base rule set from the rulebook as well. We can cover that in detail though once we take a look at the teams. So here is our team of heroes taking up one side of the field today. We're bringing the Wonder Woman 1984 in the golden armor and the largest base by far. We have the Blue Lantern representation in the game in the form of Saint Walker. We have got Green Lantern. We've got the Ben Affleck Batman v Superman Batman, the one in the power armor. He's got a kryptonite grenade launcher, which is going to be useful here. And then, making his debut, the best boy, we have Krypto the Super Dog, who has a move called Super Bark. It's just wonderful. So he's going to be on the field as well, and this adds up to, I think it's 59 out of 60 levels used here, but either way, near enough. And these, as per usual, will be the D12s getting used to mark how much power they have left on the table. So only 4 miniatures in the villain team this time, but in general each one is individually stronger than the heroes. So we've got Lex Luthor in his armor, which also comes with a vast range of kryptonite weaponry, which will be useful here. We have the new Black Adam Rebirth. He's actually not classed as a villain, he is neutral, so he can be in hero teams as well, but today he's with the villains. We have the new General Zod Rebirth, who will be making people kneel before him with his kneel before Zod rule, if he chooses to. And in general he's just super powerful. He also has the same role the other General Zod available for the game has, called Martial Pride, which is probably one of the best roles in the game, where you get to roll to see if you succeed in an attack first before you decide if you want to overload the attack, either to do extra damage or because you need to make it land. Stupidly overpowered roll, but either way. And then we also have Lobo, the intergalactic bounty hunter, who's helping them out today for reasons unknown. So here is the sort of objective that we're going to be playing against today. The neutral party on the field is zombified Superman, using the 19 levels Superman stat card. He is going to be starting in the middle of the map. At the end of a turn, he's going to be attacking whoever's closest, and if that changes during his attacks, because he picks them up and throws someone, for instance, he will attack the next closest person indiscriminately. He's just trying to murder, and that's why both teams are here. They want to deal with zombie Superman. So there's going to be the standard rule of taking out a person in the opposing team is worth 1 victory point. Whoever takes out zombie Superman earns their team 3 victory points, but he respawns at the top of the next turn. And if zombie Superman successfully kills anyone, that team loses 1 point. So if he kills one of the heroes, they lose 1 point. Kills one of the villains, they lose 1 point. As far as any extra other rules apply, he will not use defensive improvements, but otherwise his stats are as is. And I think that's about it. We can cover anything else forgotten about once we deploy. So we are all set up and good to go. The only other custom rule that I forgot to mention in the intro is that nobody is allowed to try and pick up and throw Superman. One, it's too easy to do a lot of damage by chucking and throwing constantly, and two, in terms of story reasons, they don't want to have to try and manhandle a zombie to chuck him for fear of getting infected. He can throw them, but they can't throw him. So whether or not going after him is the best option, or going after each other just for those 1 victory points per person, who knows? We're just trying a custom scenario to see how it plays out. Standard deployment zones on each side. The villains are deployed down here. We've got Lobo, we've got Lex Luthor, we've got General Zod and Black Adam. And you can see the amount of power they have denoted by the D12s behind them. Since we're using the most powerful version of Superman's in the game stat card, Zombie Superman's got a massive 12 power to play with, and as I say, he can't use defensive improvements, so he's going to use that all for attacking. Incidentally, if he does die and come back, he will have his once per games back as well. And then we have Batman, Krypto, Wonder Woman, Saint Walker, and Green Lantern right there. And then we need to see who's going first to start the game. In the good old-fashioned bag of destiny, let us see. It is going to be the Justice League / Heroes. So Crypto got the game started for the heroes. He spent 2, which gives him 9 movement. He can fly because he's a super dog. He flew next to the car over here, and then he spent 3 plus another 1 to overload his super bark, which is a frontal Kono attack. He overloaded not to roll the extra die to try and guarantee a hit, but instead to do the overload effect, which is push 2, in order to push Zombie Superman closer to the villains, because he can't be thrown, so whoever he ends up closest to is in for a bad time when he actually activates at the end of the turn. Super Bork does 3 damage, but he has resistance 2 to energy and physical attacks, which has reduced it down to 1 damage, and he's banking 2 power for defense. It was the new General Zod who got the villains game started. He paid 2 to move next to the large vehicle that had been there, paid 3 to do a grab and throw to pick it up, chuck it at Zombie Superman. It was an overly large car, so counted it as being 4 damage, but obviously he reduced his physical damage by 2. He did not pass his agility roll, but that does mean he takes 2 damage from the throw. General Zod then spent on Heat Vision, and again, because of Martial Pride, he can roll first and then decide if he wants to overload afterwards. It got a crit, which is just as well, because totally forgot again, Superman reduces energy damage by 2, so default damage it would do nothing, but thankfully the crit makes it do +1 damage. Reduced by 2, down to an additional 1. So in total he managed to do 3 damage to him. He's banking 1 power for defense, and he didn't have enough left over to use Kneel Before Zod, which I think is a 4-inch bubble around him. It affects teammates as well though, but it steals power and reduces movement. The Green Lantern Hal Jordan activated next, spent 2 to move 7 down behind the car that was next to Crypto, and then used 3 to use his ring for a grab and throw, to pick it up and throw it at Zombie Superman. Once again he failed his agility roll, and I forgot to mention, but Zombie Superman does not get knocked down or knocked out, because usually if you get hit by scenery you get knocked down. He's immune to it. Death is the only release, and even then only for a turn. So the car, size 3, it was smaller than the other one, reduced down to 1 damage. He then did a Green Blast, which is his ranged just projectile attack that all Green Lanterns have. It hit. He opted to use his Force of Will passive, which means he gets to add on his willpower of 11 instead of his attack, which made it easily break Superman's defense, and it does 3 damage, also reduced down to 1 because it's energy. Lex Luthor in his power suit activated next. He only spent 1 to move, which gives him 4 inches, moved him to where the car was originally that Zod ended up chucking, and then he spent a total of 6 power, 5 base, plus 1 for overloading it, so it left him with 1. He did his once per game hidden missile, which is classed as Mystic, purely because it's supposed to be that Superman's weak to it and he has weak Mystic defense. But it also counts as being Kryptonite. So its base damage is 3, but because Superman is weak to Kryptonite, it doubles the damage, so he just took 6 from that. It is a once per game, but finally some decent damage done to the zombie. Sam Walker the Blue Lantern activated for the heroes next, and in general he wants to stay next to Green Lantern because one of his once per game, which can be very damaging, is too expensive for him to cast unless he has a Green Lantern within certain range. I think it's called a motion manipulation or something. Either way, he spent 3 to fly all the way over here to try and stay out of Superman's threat range, just within 8 though, so that he could do his Blue Blast, which is just Green Blast by another name. It's exactly the same. He overloaded it and actually got a crit, which upped the base damage from 3 to 4, but again Superman brings that down by 2 because it's energy, but it was 2 more damage done to the zombie. He might go down in this first turn if they keep on piling on him rather than each other, but I think that will change once they're closer to each other in round 2. Lobo activated and paid 2 to move 8, which is his maximum amount. Got him round the table there, and he shot at Superman with his heavy las gun, which presumably he stole from the Imperium of Man in a different franchise. That's what it's called. Superman had cover from the barricade there to up his defense that way, and also he has fly, which gives him +1 because Lobo cannot fly when he's not on a space hog. He spent, I think it was 4 for his heavy lasgun attack, +1 to overload it to roll the 3 dice. He rolled a 6, 7 and a 5, so it was getting through regardless. He also spent 1 though on Death Blow, which is just a 1 point spend power for him. He can put into any attack to give it irresistible, meaning it ignores resistance. So normally that would do no damage because it's base damage 2, but because he gave it irresistible, the 2 damage goes through on Superman. This is the tankiest version of Superman, the roll card we're using for him though, so I believe he still has like 6 or 7 HP left. So being very brave, Wonder Woman 1984 activated, second last activation for the heroes. She flew straight into Zombie Superman and engaged in close combat with him. She overloaded her lasso of Hastia Slash, I think it's called. Hastia? I'm not sure how to pronounce that, sorry if it's wrong. either way, which is a Mystic attack, which again Superman has no particular defense against, and it got through thanks to her overloading it for a total of like 5 power, leaving her with 2 for defense. It got through for 4, leaving him on, I think he's on 3, which is not good for the heroes because that means Black Adam could be able to finish him off, and Black Adam is the last one to go for the villains. So Black Adam did capitalise on the opportunity. He didn't even need to move thanks to Superman being pushed closer to the villains' lines. This version of Black Adam has 2 ranged attacks, Black Lightning and Power of Aton, I think it's called, which the latter of which is the one he used. He overloaded it, shot it into Superman and got him. It's a magic attack, so again no super ability to defend it. He did 3, so Superman is down, so he's not getting a turn. He is going to reappear at the top of the next turn, and that does give 3 victory points to the villains. It also had explosive on it, so burst there. Despite having a reroll on her agility roll thanks to being an acrobat, Wonder Woman managed to fail the agility roll twice, so she also took the full damage of the blast and took 3. So that's her hurt as well. Actually, I think she might have resistance 1. Oh wait, no, it's magic. Never mind. She does have resistance, but only to magic and physical, I think. Energy and physical. The thing also that makes this Black Adam unique, and he spent 2 to fly over here to perhaps pick on St. Walker next turn, is he has resistance 1 to every one of the 4 damage types, which I think is unique to him. I don't think I've ever seen that on anything else. Either way, he did take out Zombie Superman. Zombie Superman will get up next turn, and that does put the villains in front. And now it's over to Batman to end off the turn, first battle round entirely. Well, so much for the brilliant plan of waiting to the end of the turn and then sneaking in with the Kryptonite Grenade Launcher to snag a zombie kill. Batman activated, spent 2 to move 8, which put him within 8 to shoot his Kryptonite Grenade Launcher overloaded at Lobo, who did, he didn't boost his defense because you can't boost your defense against magical, and for reasons, the Kryptonite Grenade Launcher is magic. Hit him for 2 damage, and it has Explosion 3, so it did reach Lex, but he did pass his agility roll, so he took half damage and just took the 1 point. And that does take us to the end of Battle Round 1. So at the end of Battle Round 1, the villains were able to take out the Zombie Superman for 3 victory points. However, now as we go into Round 2, he is standing right back up. Maybe he'll get to do something this turn, who knows. But he's back on his feet. Lobo has Regeneration 2, so he's immediately healed the damage he just took. And Wonder Woman has Regeneration 1, so she's healed 1 of the 3 she took. And with that, as we go into Battle Round 2, we have to see who is going first. So the bag is here, and it is going to be the villains. So Battle Round 2 got started with Black Adam. He spent 3 to pick up the huge chunk of rock and whatever else, rubble, that was in front there, counting it as size 4. Chucked it at Superman, Zombie Superman, who did fail his agility roll again. Half damage though, because 2 came off thanks to his resistance, so that's 2 there. And then he did Power of Aton again, overloaded it, exact same attack. Shot that at Superman, it crit him, so it did 3. And this time Wonder Woman was able to pass her agility roll, but she still takes half damage rounding down, so she took 1 damage from that. He then spent 1 of his 3 final power to move right next to the building, presumably to get ready to chuck the entire thing because he's strength 5 next turn. So Wonder Woman 1984 activated first for the heroes, and she went for a big play that didn't quite work out as well as it could have. She spent 1 to move 6, her base movement is high because she can fly. So she floated down there into the midst of the enemy lines, and then did her once per game Bracelets of Submission blast, which, when she hits her gauntlets together and it causes a massive explosion. It does 4 damage and push 2 unless the target passes an agility roll. Then you ignore the push and do half damage rounding down. And unfortunately, despite catching everyone, they all passed their agility rolls. So Lobo, 2 damage. Lex Luthor, 2 damage. It was magic attack incidentally, so resistances and things didn't apply. General Zod took 2 damage, and it reached Zombie Superman as well, so he took 2 damage as well. That left her with 3 power. She spent 2 of it on a passive once per turn she can activate, where she buffs her physical and energy defense by 3, I think. It's 2 or 3, but only against range attacks, and she still has 1 left over for defensive improvement. General Zod activated and spent 1 to move right next to Wonder Woman where you can see him standing. He then spent 2 on Kneel Before Zod. It's a 4-inch aura. He steals 1 power from everybody. Gives them Ensnare as well, so he stole 1 power from Lex, Wonder Woman and Superman. Actually, I feel like he probably should have got 1 from Lobo as well, so let's just correct that now, because Lobo was definitely within 4, so that means he's going to end his turn with 2 power then. He then spent 4 on an overloaded grab and throw to pick up Wonder Woman and chuck her into Zombie Superman. she took 5 damage because he's strength 6, but she has resistance to physical 2. Normally, that's ignoring the buff she did for ranged attacks. So that's reduced down to 3 damage on her. Superman takes no damage from the impact because of his resistance to physical damage. He then used his once per game Zod Breath, his version of Freeze Breath. They both don't take any damage from it, even though it got through against them because of their resistances to energy, because it just does 2 base damage. But it does push them. It pushed them 4, so they've both been pushed over there, and that does put Zombie Superman closer to the heroes if he gets a chance to unleash his anger this turn. Super quick turn for Green Lantern next. Hal spent 2 to move 7, or didn't even move the full 7. Moved where you can see him, but then spent a total of 6, 5 plus 1 for overloading it, his once per game Green Gatling. He didn't overload it to get the extra die to make it easier to hit, he trusted in the heart of the cards, and instead picked to make it irresistible, to ignore that resistance to physical or energy. He also used Power of Will, so he got to add on his willpower rather than his attack, which is just as well, because otherwise it would not have landed. He got Zombie Superman in the back with his Green Gatling for a massive 5 damage, and saved himself 1 power for defense. Lex Luthor spent 2 to wander 8 inches forwards, and then in an absolutely monstrous move, he spent 4 of his remaining 5, kept 1 for defense, to fire his Kryptonite Death Beam at Krypto. And he has absolutely terrible magic defense of 12. It got through easily, base damage 2, but because he's weak to Kryptonite, it is doubled to 4. So the doggo has been hit good. Incidentally, totally forgot that Krypto has heroic action, which means his first attack each turn should do +1 damage. Totally forgot that for his Super Bork he did turn 1. It wouldn't have changed anything, but did forget that. So Batman decided to go full John Wick and have a conversation with Lex about the problems with attacking a dog. Spent 1 to walk into base to base with him, and then overloaded his once per game Sneak Attack, I think it's called, or Power Strike. And Lex has no built-in resistance to physical damage. He's got to spend power to buff it, and he had none left. And the attack would have stolen what he had left anyway. He buffed his physical defense, but that wasn't good enough. The attack got through and hit him pretty hard for 4 damage. So now it is over to Lobo to end off the second turn for the villains. So Lobo spent 1 to move into base to base with Bruce, and then initiated a grab and throw overloaded for 4 total power. Bruce spent 1 to buff his physical defense, which also kicks in a passive he has with his bat armor, which gives him resistance 1 to physical. The grab and throw succeeded, he got chucked into the rock. Would have been 3 damage because Lobo is strength 4, but again he has resistance 1 physical, so reduced down to 2. Then from where he was standing, Lobo shot his heavy lasgun at him and didn't get through his energy defense, which he did spend his last power to buff as well. So now it is over to either Krypto or Saint Walker. They both get to go before we end off the second round. So of those 2, Krypto activated first, came around the boxes there and initiated an overloaded super bite, not for the extra die but for the overloaded effect, which is +3 damage. He did manage to get through Zombie Superman's base defense, so that put it at 5, and then Zombie Superman's resistance brought it back down to 3. So it came down to just Saint Walker, and he does have a once per game he could use for 5 damage, 6 damage if he crits. That's not enough to take Superman out in the 1 turn, so Zombie Superman is getting a turn, which is not going to bode well for the heroes that he is around, because they're the closest targets. So he instead opted just to fire a blue blast at Superman's back, 3 damage, reduced down to 1 because of his resistances. Then he ended his turn by giving himself Energy Field, which also gives him resistance 2 to physical and energy as well. So normally it would be the end of the turn, but Zombie Superman lived, so he's going to do some damage. So Zombie Superman attacked the target closest to him, which was Krypto, picked up the poor doggo and chucked him into Hal. 5 damage on Krypto, reduced to 3 because of his resistance to physical damage. He's only size 1, so even though Hal failed his roll and is now on the floor, he only took 1 damage from the impact. Then the next closest target was Wonder Woman, so he spent just 1 to move it back into base to base with her, but also 1 on Supercharge. So when he ends a movement action, everybody within 2 inches of him has to pass an agility roll or take 2 damage. She passed, and she is an acrobat, so she had a reroll anyway. And then with the rest of his power, he just did his basic super punch, and it got through, but she reduced the damage taken by it down to 1. And with that, we're at the end of Battle Round 2. So at the end of Battle Round 2, the victory point conditions are staying the same because nobody else has been taken out, and Zombie Superman has stayed on the field. Wonder Woman and Lobo have healed, regen 1 on Wonder Woman, regen 2 on Lobo, and we had some knockout checks to do, and unfortunately for Lex and also Krypto, they both are in their pale zone and succumb to their wounds for the turn. So remember, they do get a chance to activate in the next battle round. You try and wake them up. If they fail though, That's an activation wasted. So the teams have lost 1 each to that. They're not dead though. And as we go into battle round 3, it is time to see who is getting first activation. Let's dip the hand in, shake it around, and we'll go with this one. It's the villains again. So Black Adam got the turn started, and rather than throw the building, he saw too juicy an opportunity to ignore. Paid 2 to fly forwards amongst this rabble, including Zombie Superman. Spent 5 on Final Lightning, his 3-inch blast around himself, massive explosion of lightning. It caught Saint Walker, it caught Crypto, it caught Zombie Superman. None of them passed their agility roll, they all took the full damage from the magic attack. 5 damage each, and he had enough left to do the power of Aton on Superman. Hit him for 2. Superman is, Zombie Superman that is down again, so that's another 3 victory points for the villains. They snatched the kill again. Also, the power of Aton is the one with the burst. Wonder Woman passed her roll, took 1 damage from it. But yeah, I think that is such a powerful ability, and if you don't pass your agility rolls, it is rough. So with things looking very rough for the heroes, the next activation for them was the Blue Lantern at Saint Walker. He moved forwards for 2, making sure he was still within 6 just of Green Lantern, so that he could use his once per game emotional manipulation for 5 power, because otherwise it costs 10, which he can't really get to. He did it on Lex, who was unconscious, so that brought down his normally pretty good mental defense, and got him for the full 4 damage, so they're hoping to try and take him out for 1 measly victory point. We'll see if that happens. Well, General Zod decided to take advantage of the fact Saint Walker left himself with no power. Spent 2 to walk up right next to him, and then spent 5 up to 6 to overload once he saw the first result. On his other once per game, because Zod's breath was a once per game, Strategic Hit, which has Irresistible, and easily penetrated Saint Walker's defences for a massive 5 damage. He's 1 away from his blue zone and has 4 HP left in total, so he's not in a good place. So Batman activated next for the heroes, and he was originally down there by the rock. He punted a kryptonite grenade into Lex's unconscious body, hit him for 2, and Lobo failed his agility roll and also took 2 from it. He then spent a total of 4, which was the rest of the power he had, on his once per game back claw, which was cost 2, to zoom over next to Lex, and then just used his reinforced gloves to beat him on the floor for an amazing 1 damage. I think Lex is now in the blue zone, but it doesn't matter because he's already unconscious. Lobo decided to seal the deal on Saint Walker. He spent 2 to walk over here, then did his once per game finisher hook. It is a physical attack, but it has range 3 because he's flinging out his hook on his hand. It got him, it crit, so it did 5 damage, and that is enough that Saint Walker is out of there, and that is 1 additional victory point for the villains, who are fast becoming unattainable by the heroes. Second last activation for the heroes was Wonder Woman. She trotted on over to poor Lex, grabbed him by the foot and flung him into Lobo. Didn't bother putting the damage down, he took 4, that's exactly how much health he had left. So he is gone and finally putting the heroes on the board for 1. Lobo failed his agility to dodge Lex and took 2 damage and is knocked down as a result. She then followed up with her normal lasso attack, which is magic, and that got through on Lobo for 3. So because Lex was unconscious and is now dead, it's actually just 2 activations left for the heroes to go in battle round 3. Crypto tried to wake up and he did. Waking up takes 1 power, standing up takes another 1. He's already 1 less than normal because he's quite wounded, but he had just enough to run on over to Lobo and do a overhead slam, or whatever it is, super slam I think it's called, his basic attack. He overloaded it but went for the extra damage. He's being cheeky with it and it paid off. 3 damage base, the overload throws in 2 more. Lobo had that 1 power left over and he could have buffed his physical defense, but he was overconfident and that cost him. Oh, also forgot to mention, but that damage does put Lobo in the blue section of his health bar, but he passed his stay awake check. That's quite hard to say, diction is important. He passed his stay awake check and is still standing on I think about 7 HP left maybe. So Green Lantern was the last to go in the battle round. He spent 1, giving him 4 inches, which put him within range to use both his offensive abilities at 8 power after moving for the 1, and he overloaded both because it costs 3 each. Green Blast followed by Offensive Construct. The Green Blast does 3 damage base and it got through on him despite him spending his power to buff his energy defense. The Offensive Construct, he used Force of Will to add on his willpower rather than attack, and got a crit with it, so instead of 2 it did 3, and I was wrong. Lobo did not have 7 HP left, he had 6. So he is also actually out of there for a second victory point. Now they're still trailing massively, but it does only mean that Zod and Black Adam are the two left for the villains. So then about round 3, Wonder Woman is the only person on the board who's healing. Zombie Superman is back up again. I don't even know if there's enough power on the board now to take him out again. Both teams have suffered casualties. Blue Lantern has gone. The Lex and Lobo are gone. Oh, and also Krypto once again succumbed to his wounds and passed out. So he's unconscious. And now let's see who's getting first activation in battle round 4. It is back to the heroes. So Batman got battle round 4 started. He moved around the barricade there and then punted a kryptonite grenade at Zombie Batman. Well, that's available soon, but still. I meant Zombie Superman. Got him, doubles the damage because of his weakness to kryptonite, so that's 4 damage to the zombie of steel. The explosion, oh actually the explosion probably would have caused, well maybe not. Zod might also get damaged by it, not 100% sure he's in range. Black Adam definitely was though, and he failed his agility roll, so he took 2 damage from it. He can't really do anything else, so he's banking 4 power for defense. Oh, as an addition, it's a range 3 explosion, so Zod was just in range. Now he passed his agility roll, so he takes half damage, rounded down. He would be taking 4 because he's also weak to kryptonite, so it's down to 2. General Zod activated, he moved next to the poor unconscious Doggo, picked him up, and chucked him at Zombie Superman. Now the chuck itself is going to do nothing to Superman because of his resistance. Krypto took 5 damage, reduced down to 3 because of his resistance. And then Zod shot Heat Vision at him, totally forgetting that despite being a Doggo, Krypto also has resistance to the physical and energy. So unless it crit, it was never going to do any damage. So although he did manage to get damage through, the resistance just countered it. So Krypto is alive on 1 HP. Wonder Woman activated and started her turn with a lasso attack at range, magic based, on General Zod, and it got through for 3 damage. She then moved in and tried an overloaded physical attack. She's a master fighter, so she has a built-in 1 reroll, trying for a crit because of his damage reduction on physical damage, and her God Killer is physical for some reason, even on, I'm pretty sure on the other Diana miniature, the smaller one, God Killer is a magic attack, I think. But either way, she did actually get the crit thanks to the reroll, and that is reduced down by 2 though, so he took 1 damage. So 4 damage in total to Zod. She spent everything she had doing that, including the move into base to base after the lasso attack. And now it's over to Black Adam, and pray for poor Krypto. So once again, Black Adam used the power of a ton on Superman, which has the inbuilt explosion. Superman took 2 damage from that, Krypto took 2 damage from that. Krypto is down, that's another victory point for the villains. May they rot in you-know-where for killing that poor Doggo. Then he spent 1 to walk next to Zombie Superman. Oh, I forgot, you can't throw Zombie Superman. That isn't allowed, so never mind. He had originally thrown Zombie Superman and done 2 damage to him as a result, but no, that cannot and will not be done. So instead then he is going to clear out, because he doesn't want Zombie Superman to destroy him. So we'll move Black Adam over here for the power he spent. He'll still have 2 left because that's roughly a 2 or 3 spend to get over there. But that means Superman is still here and he only took 2 damage, not 4. So we're already at the last activation for the turn. Green Lantern, he went over here and then used his ring to do his free grab and throw at strength 3, meaning he can throw 6 inches, overloaded it on General Zod and chucked Zod into the waiting angry face of the Zombie Superman. Zod did spend 1 to buff his physical defense, it did not help. So that's the turn over, but Zombie Superman is very much alive and has 12 power to burn through, and Zod is the closest target, so the heroes might be able to take advantage of that depending on how it plays out. So Zombie Superman started with his once per game Super Punch overloaded. Not only did he overload it to try and guarantee it went through, it crit and he has heroic action, so it was doing plus 2 damage, brought back down by 2 because of Zod's built-in physical resistance. Still did 5 to him, so then he did an overloaded grab and throw to chuck him at Batman, because Batman's the next nearest threat. The throw itself does 5 damage again because of his reduction, and Batman dodged out of the way in time. So Zod took a big hit, and the reason he's tipped over is because he's into the blue part of his health bar and succumbed to his wounds temporarily, so he is unconscious, and that does take us to the end of Battle Round 4. So then Battle Round 4, there's very few miniatures left on the table, but there is a chance the heroes will win, so we are going to play turn 5. If they manage to get credit for a Superman zombie kill, and Zod goes down, or, well, yeah, it has to be in that order, because if Zombie Superman kills Zod, that won't give them enough to win. Yeah, they have to take out Zombie Superman and Zod, and if they do that, it will be a win or a draw. It's the only way it can happen, and Zod will have to wake up if he wants to fight back. Who's getting first activation in what will be the final round? It will be the heroes. So Batman got Battle Round 5 started. He backed up a little bit and then fired a kryptonite grenade launcher right into Zod's unconscious face. It crit. It didn't need to crit. A normal one with the weakness kryptonite he has would have been enough to kill him. The crit guaranteed it though, so that's one victory point. Batman actually took down Zod. Now the impending explosion, or preceding, no, not preceding, it came after, not before, did 1 damage to Wonder Woman and 2 damage to Zombie Superman because he failed his role, doubled up because of the kryptonite weakness. Now that's all great and all, however unfortunately the maths was done incorrectly. Zod's taken out. If Wonder Woman and Green Lantern take out Zombie Superman, that'll give them 3 victory points. Still not enough to win. Still not enough, didn't take into account the crypto death. So the villains basically can't lose, unfortunately. So there's really no point continuing. It was cool seeing Batman take out Zod like that, just point the grenade launcher at his temple and fire. But there's no way for them to catch up. Zombie Superman, if he kills Black Adam, which he won't do because Black Adam has been healing 1 at the end of every turn, he's back to full health practically. That wouldn't make a big enough difference to the point swing either. Black Adam just needs to run and hide. I guess we could see if Wonder Woman and Green Lantern can take out Zombie Superman with what health he has left. Let's do that. I'm going to see if they can take him out. Black Adam, he's just going to run away to keep himself safe because the win is secured, I think. But let's see. So of the 2 of them, Green Lantern activated first. He did the same thing he did last turn. He spent 1 power to move up to 4 inches, then spent his remaining 8 on 2 overloaded attacks, an overloaded Green Construct and an overloaded Green Blast. Green Construct is physical. He needed a crit to even do any damage, didn't get it. And then the Green Blast needed a crit to do significant damage, didn't get it, and as a result he did 3 damage, reduced down to 1. That means that Wonder Woman would need to do 11 damage to Zombie Superman to take him out. That's not possible, unfortunately. So there's no need to see her turn. She cannot do it. And with that, it is the end of the game with a sole surviving villain win. So never mind that kneel before Zod business. It's kneel before Black Adam. He's the only survivor, but he did take home the win for his team. I believe the final score, not counting the rest of this round playing out, was 8 to the villains, and the good guys are on 3 for 1 victory point for taking out Lobo, Lex and Zod right at the end there. So Black Adam staying on the table is what got them the win very comfortably. The new Black Adam is very powerful. The new Zod is okay. He was up against Kryptonite Grenade Launcher obviously, so that has its issues for him. And the Superman stat card being used was the strongest iteration of Superman, so it's no surprise that Zombie Superman is tough. Very tough. I feel like the rules for the scenario here could be tweaked a little bit and definitely applied to other characters. You could have a Doomsday running around the table being like the problem, or Darkseid, some neutral party that just goes after whoever's closest to kill them. I think Doomsday would fit better than Darkseid. Darkseid is too intelligent for that kind of thing. But yeah, that is going to do it for our bi-monthly visit to the DC Universe miniature game. Next time, it should be a Green Lantern, Yellow Lantern war, so look forward to that if you're into that kind of thing. Thank you for watching, and see you then. Ta-ta for now.